listen, when we start talking about this subject, I want you to envision a casino divided into two sections. You have the side where, it's the man and the side that's the woman. Then you have all the statistics that you use to bet. And let us know in the comments when we're done which casino you would rather go to risk your money.
Exactly. Because I guarantee you a lot of you may have heard about this story. You may have heard about it, but finding it is like looking for a needle in a haystack covered in vomit and shit.
I mean, wasn't it on like the 5th or 6th page?
I had to do like 3 different search browsers before I even found the exact thing I was looking for.
And you can't even, you were trying DuckDuckGo,
Yeah,
right?
even DuckDuckGo, the supposedly based search engine, couldn't find it. But here it is, and it's sourced beyond compare. Now, this is an archived version because in order to read the whole thing on Medium, you have to become a member, and then you can get access to the hyperlinks. But just so you guys know, it is there. These are all sourced, and it's brutal.
Oh, my God.
This debunks womanist propaganda going back decades.
I reviewed this earlier today, and it even shocked me.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
Single-father households do vastly better than single-mother, and here's the real reason why. Now, there is some cope in here.
Because you always have to have cope.
This is written by a woman on a website that specializes in gaslighting, yaslighting, you name it.
Yeah. See, women like cope and men like Copenhagen.
Yeah. And I like Copenhagen Cowboy. Good series on Netflix. Check it out. Nicholas Winding Refn, director of Drive and Valhalla Rising. Winning. And the Neon Demon. Neon Demon's fucking great. But this is the same website that platforms El Silver.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be getting back to her next week. But here we go. It's extraordinarily well documented how much of a disadvantage children from single-mother households have over children whose parents remain together. But less well documented is how much of a disadvantage they have over single-father households. For example, these 2 paragraphs alone are going to have womanists pulling their hair out.
Yep.
Studies have found that children from single-mother households are 5 times more likely to self-delete than children from both unbroken and single-father households.
Wow.
9 times more likely to drop out of high school. 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances. 14 times more likely to commit rapé.
Wow.
So much for your toxic masculinity being the driving force of the so-called rapé culture, ladies. 20 times more likely to end up in prison, and 32 times more likely to run away from home.
Yep. Well, here's the deal. Like, if you grow up with a father in your life, there's probably a couple memories you have of your father walking up and just going, what are you thinking? Come with me. Like, what are you doing? Or you show up there like, what's going on here? Oh, hell no. 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 And if they get stupid, you're like, you snatch them up. They're like, and then you put them down and like, the kids look at you and go, I'm not fucking with that guy again.
No.
Mothers, like, stop it. I said no. No.
You got to go to timeout. Over there.
By the time I was 13, I realized my mother was out of her goddamn mind. And I'm like, that's my mother? And I had like no respect for her for the most part. I mean, I feel bad about it today because I was just a kid back then, but she was working her ass off. Why? It is what it is. But like, listen, women nurture the kid up to a point where the father takes over and prepares them to live in the real world.
Emotions do not prepare you for that, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah, listen, if you want to stay with your mother where everyone gets a trophy and, everything's hunky-dory and there's a safe room and safe words and what have you, good luck with that.
Yeah.
If you want to live in the real world and thrive, have your father put his foot in your ass or at least advise you. Like, when I was young, I did that, and this is the outcome, and it's probably going to be the same. So maybe you should tweak it a little bit and not get the same outcome that I did.
Yeah. Because as a child, as a father, you want your kid to be better than you.
Yeah, I mean, that's
You
what
don't want
you
them
and
to
I
make
are
your
doing.
mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah, you and I, we talk about
It's
our
all about.
yeah, like almost all of the videos I do where I talk about this horrid shit that happens to men. It happened to me.
Yeah. And then you sprinkle a little me in there too.
Yeah. Though I do remember when I was doing the horse chick and you're like sitting there drinking a beer and you're like, Jesus Christ, were you in the room when that happened to me? You know how many times I've heard
I
that?
felt so foolish.
I've heard that probably about 30 or 40 times.
Oh, man. Oh, it continues. The list does not stop there. Single mother households also account for 70% of all teen pregnancies. 70% of all child murders.
Wow.
And they account for the majority of filicide cases, which means, yes, a child living in a single mother household is the most likely to be murdered by their parent. Most at this point will probably think that the stepfather is the main killer and reason. However, studies found this to be false and that stepparents are no more likely to kill children than their biological counterparts.
Well, now,
Scene.
hey, like my buddy Darren, you know, his young daughter was living with her mother and she remarried this douchebag. And he
Douchebag.
basically tooled her up one day. And Darren was literally like loading up this 12 gauge. I'm like, what's going on? Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm like, Darren, do we have to drink some whiskey? He looks up and goes, maybe you should get the bottle. I knew it was bad when he said that. I talked him down.
Oh, man.
Because he was going to blow that dude in half because he had like 3-inch Magnum double-aught buckshot, and that literally will blow you in half. It'll take your upper body off of your hips. You're like,
I'm just saying, like, I've been saying this to womanists for years. If you honestly believe there is a rapé culture in the West, okay, you can go and do this. You have my permission because you love shit testing men anyway. Okay,
yes. Oh my.
Walk up to any man in your life and tell him that someone that someone doesn't even have to be anybody that he knows rapéed you, groped you, felt you up while you were drunk, or slipped you a roofie, something like that, and watch him become so physically angry that he starts like doing this to his hands because he's got to scratch his fist on something.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you can shut the fuck up and never talk about rapé culture again because you're stupid.
You know you're in trouble when dudes are like, what?
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, man.
Okay. All right. Say
That's
that
just
again.
so much. There's a reason why sex offenders are kept separate from the general population in prison. Okay?
I personally don't believe they should, but
I don't believe they should either because you need to let Darwin do Darwin's thing.
that's right.
Just saying.
We are in the trouble we're in because we've been blocking Darwin and Murphy, Whitey, and the man from doing their job.
Exactly. Oh, this means inevitably that single mothers are on average the biggest killers of children. Some studies show that mothers are the biggest killers of children overall, 2.5 times more likely to kill a child. Although it should be noted that others show it to be fathers. Well, we've looked up those studies, and you kind of have to consider the source. If
They're
you know what I
kind
mean.
of shaky.
A little bit. While others show that men and women are equally as likely to kill their children. That is not correct.
All right, hang on. How many times have we heard a news story about a woman driving into a lake or the ocean or do some crazy stuff in her car with all of her kids in the fucking car?
Yeah.
It happens all the time. Or if a woman, loses the child custody thing, she kills her kids and then kills herself.
Just to spite the man who beat her in court.
That is such bullshit.
Yep.
God damn, that's bullshit.
And it happens all the time. I mean, and if they have enough plausible deniability, they get off like Casey Anthony did.
Yeah, and listen, I'm a father. I love kids, and it just breaks my heart when I hear these horror stories.
Me too. So here we go. Regardless of the dynamics of this complex point, all this seems crazy considering the consensus is mothers make better parents on average than fathers, yet the data seemingly says otherwise. So now I give this woman who wrote this article props. She is trying to see both sides of the equation, and she's not coping too hard because, let's be honest, in the face of this onslaught of facts, there's not a whole lot of coping you can do.
No.
And single mothers hate this because, let's be honest, single fathers do not have the same stigma associated with them for a simple reason. One, they didn't agree to let someone bang them.
Nope.
They seduced someone.
Yeah. And they fought for the kid. And
they fought for the kid and won. They beat the system
Yeah. Well,
that is stacked against them 85% of the time.
well, I'm going to be honest. 7% of that time they win custody because the woman doesn't show up.
So, even still,
right.
they beat the system. So, either way, you're talking about a dude who is in many ways a top-tier dude right off the bat because you're talking about an equal percentage of dudes who actually win custody of their kids to dudes who are over 6 feet.
Oh, wow.
And then... And then on top of that, and there's two outcomes. One, he either beat the system, or two, a woman agreed he would be the better parent. And in modern day society, women are never wrong, right?
You'd be surprised.
So you've got pre-selection. You've got, I mean, literally, these dudes, they don't have the same stigma because it's not even the same sport.
Yep. No. Yep.
And single mamas hate that. That's why they try to say that there's no differences between us until chivalry is dead. Why can't men be chivalrous anymore? Well, because you can't have both.
Well, first of all, chivalry is a warrior's code.
Oh, I know that. But modern day definition of chivalry has to do with women. It's stupid, but
They've corrupted it to the point.
I know they've corrupted
it. Doesn't mean shit.
But either way, you're talking about women who want you to put them on a pedestal, but then claim they want equality.
Yeah.
You can't have both. You either get chivalry or you get equality.
Correct.
You don't get both.
You shouldn't get both.
No.
And if you think you're going to get both, you are a tyrant and you're delusional.
Yes. So, in fact, the only disadvantage to living with your father rather than both of your parents appears to be that you are more likely to be promiscuous in adulthood, which isn't even a problem, as long as you wrap your tool.
Well, you can still get the burning ring of fire. Yeah.
That's true. But, you wouldn't get the hipple-hiv. At least I would hope not.
The hipple-hiv.
I mean, it's crazy, and as a mother, it makes no sense to me, mainly because it all seems to imply that men don't need women to raise children well, but women need men. No, this is the problem. And this is something that she points out later in the article, that single dads are actually more likely to cohabitate with parents or a sibling, someone who can help with the kid. You want to know why?
Because we're not stupid.
Because single dads, you're right, they're not stupid, and they're not ignorant and arrogant enough to look at themselves in the mirror and blatantly lie to themselves by saying, I can do it all myself.
Yeah, WIC Welfare Section 8.
Yeah. Yeah, WIC Welfare Section 8, child support, alimony in most cases. Oh, yeah, you're totally doing it all on your own, honey.
Subsidized daycare, subsidized training, subsidized college. Shut up! You can't do it yourself. You delusional witches with a capital B.
The only thing they can do themselves is what they do with a dishwasher-safe analog. That's it.
Yep.
Everything else is done with help. Either by the point of a gun, a bureaucratic gun, or by all the people they refuse to give credit to. People who help them out, that they're constantly asking for free babysitting, or, people are trying to sell things on Facebook. Can you give it to me for free? I'm a single mom. I don't care if your Mother Teresa, how dare you? I'm having so hard away.
Yeah, listen. No, don't get me wrong. I guess a single mother raising a kid by herself has got to be incredibly difficult. I watched my mom do it with 3 kids.
Yeah.
But, my mother, it happened to my mother because she picked poorly and didn't listen to proper counsel.
That's exactly how it goes.
Yep.
And they try to deflect from that, too. Stop blaming her for picking wrong. Blame the man for leaving. Well, considering 80% of all divorces are filed by women, we know who's ending most relationships.
Correct. And if you're college educated, that goes up to 90%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So either way, it gets worse.
Oh, it does.
Many argue economics must be the difference.
Here we
They're
go.
wrong. This blew my mind.
All right. Well,
It's
I know this part is weird.
Yeah, it's
And
popular. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Child support and
Yeah.
alimony isn't taxed. Therefore,
that's-
it's not reported as income.
There you go.
So these women can be getting $30K in child support and alimony, not paying a dime of taxes, and then they do the tax return and like, I only made $17,000.
Oh my gosh! Please give me more social programs.
But in the meantime, you made $17,000. You got to pay, $5,000 in tax. So you made $12,000. You tack that onto the 30 you got tax free. That's $42,000 after taxes, or you weren't even taxed on it. So you literally are living in a middle class income, whining about how you're so poor when in reality you're not.
Not to mention, a lot of times, especially if it's part of a divorce settlement, the dude will be throwing in for half of everything after child support, after alimony. He's got to pay for half of the health care. He's got to pay for half of the daycare and all this other shit, so she can, buy weaves and fake nails and go out and dupe the next dude.
Which we did a comedy video about.
Yes, we did. So here we go. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Oh, it's juicy. You might want to pour a shot for this one.
Oh, here we go.
It's popular to say that because single mothers are more likely to be in poverty, when it doesn't include the taxable income we talked about, that it must be economic differences that explain the data. However, studies have found that economics does not explain it. It's the same story even if the single mother is not in poverty. I was surprised by this, so I went to my kids' school. They're at an expensive private school, and I asked the teachers, and they told me that more often than not, the children that cause the most problems and have the most problems come from single mother households.
Shocker.
I asked specifically if they noticed the same problem from single father households, and they highlighted how single father households were much rarer, but they did not notice the same problems.
Yes. Because
Why? Discipline.
What are you doing? Come here.
I've known a lot of single mothers.
Yeah.
And because they screwed up, they want to try to make it up to the kid. And they feel like they can't make it up to the kid because they're working all day. So how do they make it up to the kid? By refusing to parent during the time they get with the child.
Well, they spoil.
Yes.
They spoil them.
They spoil with material things. And the only, basically everything other than what your child genuinely needs from you, which is your time.
Correct. I don't know. This is getting
Yeah.
this is getting beyond stupid.
It's getting really crazy. Oh, wow. So this is where some of the cope starts to come in, if I remember correctly. The devil's in the details, and to understand what is going on, we must look at the details and break down the data. It would be easy to conclude resoundingly that fathers are just on average better at single parenthood. It would even be easy to argue that men are perhaps the more important parent. I've heard arguments to this tune before, with the idea being that because this is a man's world full of direct conflict and ruthless competition, men are better at preparing children to handle the environments, which makes them more important as parents, at least on average.
Didn't we just say that?
Here comes the cope.
Yeah.
However, it's just not as simple as that.
Yes, it is.
I mean, literally, when you're talking about the outcomes don't lie.
No.
Leftoids do.
Yeah.
And the reason why they push this single mama so brave bullshit, because that's exactly what it is because the establishment that seeks to abuse us and rob us of our money and will to live makes bank off of pushing that narrative.
Correct. In
Why?
fact,
And we know that because best interests of the child would be to have that child in the custody of the parent who can support that child on their own. Instead, 85% of the time, it goes to a woman who is borderline, if not completely blanketed in poverty, so they can milk the dude for cash.
yeah. And listen, the judges' pensions are directly tied to collecting a child support. The county coffers. I mean, literally, it's what 1-for-1 reimbursement. So say they collect. Sometimes it's even more. They say they collect $100 million in child support. The government cuts them a check for $100 million to pay for collecting the child support, and that money comes directly out of Social Security.
Exactly. It's basically one hand steals from another hand to feed the other Ponzi scheme, and it's
Correct.
all three-shell Monty horse shit.
It is. Oh, my Lord.
And if I may say so, probably completely illegal.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying, collecting income taxes is illegal.
Yes, it is.
It's unconstitutional. It was deemed unconstitutional twice, and yet they still do it. You don't have to, but if you don't, they will send a SWAT team to your house.
Correct.
It's essentially weaponized bureaucratic extortion, and it's not even legal. They do it anyway.
Yeah, they do it anyway.
Why? Because they stopped teaching civics in this country, and nobody really knows how it fucking works. So they just sit back and they think the president can unilaterally just do anything with a swoop of a pen because they're idiots. And they've been conditioned to be idiots.
They're communists in training. They're the useful idiots.
So here's more cope here. Here we go. We're going to get into the cope here. This is because despite economics not being the factor, the data comparing single-father households to single mother is heavily distorted by several other factors.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Factors which explain why the data shows what it does and which shows it's not because men make better single parents or are the more important influence.
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. But people genuinely trying to keep a status quo that benefits them do. What's really going on? Firstly, it's much easier on average for a single father to fill his children's lives with strong and positive female influences than it is for a single mother to fill her children's with strong and positive male influences. Gee, what was I saying about these guys automatically being top-tier dudes?
Yep.
I mean, not all of them,
here's another
but
thing.
if they genuinely want custody of their kids and can support them on their own, top shelf dude.
I am actively trying to tell the young men out there, do not raise another man's child no matter what.
No hymen, no diamond.
So if you run across a woman who's 24, she's got a kid, move on.
Yeah.
If you don't find a woman, okay, there's been greater tragedies.
Yeah.
Maybe you can go overseas and figure it out or whatever, but I'm telling you, you're just setting yourself up for a boatload of heartache, being taken advantage of, and then ejected from the kid's life and the single mother's life, and there's no legal shoe to stand on.
Yeah.
You will not have anything to do with that child after she leaves. So if you bonded with that child, then that's incredibly heartbreaking. And if there's an emotional bond with the single mother, which I don't recommend, you're getting like heartbreak squared.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge punch in the mush.
Exactly. But let's get back into it. Whether it be the father's mother getting stuck in, whether it be the father's sister stepping in, whether it be a teacher, of which there are many options mainly because female teachers greatly outnumber male teachers, whether it be all the latter and more, the options available to men are just more prevalent, willing, and accessible. See that right there? Willing.
That's right. Look at.
Why do you think single mothers try to shame men who don't want to date them all the time?
Yeah, because
a real man would write a check against a single mother. A real man would realize that even if I got knocked up by another man, that child's his responsibility.
Well, in the 70s and 80s, dudes were lining up left and right to marry these single mothers and freshly divorced women.
They've learned.
Because they got married early and they divorced early. So, like, they were getting divorced 24, 25 years old.
Yeah. Now they're getting married for the first time at like 33 and getting divorced at 40.
Yeah.
And they want to go back to how things were at 23.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah. I mean,
good luck with that.
If you are somebody who did not have children until your 30s, didn't get married until your 30s, and then got divorced at 40, you are obviously a serial bad decision maker, and nobody with a brainstem is going to write a check against that.
Not only that,
I'd fake name it.
Women start to really go south after 40, and I would argue that their labia grows up their chest to the to the point where it's like hanging from their chin. And it happens to men too, but a little later on in life with the scrotum.
I know what you're talking about. It's
yeah, I can't tell how many times I run into women 40, 45, 50, and it's like
pelican neck.
I'm like, oh my God. No, thank you.
Jail.
And then there's all the health problems and the baggage and all the trauma. Look, I'd rather just go fishing.
There you go.
I got nothing for you, woman. I'm sorry.
You get vaginal neck syndrome. Oh, what do we got here? This puts single mothers at a disadvantage compared to single fathers. Well, if it isn't the consequences of your own actions knocking at the door.
Actually, what
you better answer it.
What you meant is consequences.
The consequences, yeah. But if you don't answer when that reality check comes, I mean, you never know. There might be a cock waiting on the doorstep, too.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you
Just saying.
infest your thinking meat with stupid bitchitis.
There you go. Here is why not only do single mothers struggle to find positive male influences in the wider world, not to be confused with wider thighs, they struggle to find them in a romantic world as well. This is because women are far happier to take on a man with children than men are to take on a woman with children.
That's accurate.
It is accurate.
That's accurate.
Why?
Because men are already pre-selected.
Yeah, I mean, and women, one of the biggest flying crossbody cock blocks that they throw on themselves is believing that men are looking for the same things they are.
They're not.
Like women, when they pitch themselves to you, oh, I got my own job, I got my own place. I don't care about any of that.
You know how many times I've heard that?
Don't care.
I've been dating, since my divorce, and I've gone out with some pretty influential women. One was basically an obstetrician, and she was very well off. I dated a CPA, actually three CPAs. Oh my God. I mean, these are high-power women that have all kinds of money, benefits, perks, and I really didn't care because I know that none of that's going to ever apply to me.
No.
If I get hurt, I know that I'm going to get jettisoned over the wall. If she gets tired of me for whatever reason, I'm getting jettisoned over the wall.
Yep.
Somebody better comes along and gives her better feels. Guess what? I'm getting jettisoned over the wall.
Yeah.
And men can accept that.
Yeah.
And we're fine. We're like,
Yeah.
Women get all butthurt when
Oh yeah, rejection forges men and destroys women.
Yes, it
We've
does.
said that many times.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at this, it just cracks me up. The reason why women are happier to take on men with kids is because, again, pre-selection. Women do love kids. And there are a lot of women out there who, thanks to the plethora of birth control that they've taken, their waxworks has dried up prematurely so they can't have children.
Or they, caught themselves some herpetogonosyphilis and dried their shit up with scar tissue.
Yeah. And a dude usually winds up a single parent raising his own kid because he wanted to be there for his child.
Yes.
A woman usually ends up a single mother because she couldn't say no. And then a lot of these women, you'll see that there's questions on Quora or whatever that site is. These chicks well, my husband and I filed for divorce and everything, and how can I make it so that he gets the kids too? Because I just want the money so I can go out and party.
That would be 50-50 custody.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't want the kids at all, but she still wants money from him.
Oh, yeah.
That was, yeah, modern women.
Well, I mean, there are some guys that I've talked to over the couple decades, that did that arrangement for a year. And once the kid has been living with them for a solid year, they go to court and have that shit turned off.
Yeah. That's exactly what you should do.
Mm-hmm.
Just cracks me up. I mean, just if you take the vacancy sign off of your uterus, you need to appreciate that comes with consequences.
It does.
I would even go as far as saying that women often find men with children more attractive than their childless counterparts. There's that pre-selection bit coming up again. I know I always have, whereas men typically find women with children less attractive because they don't want to take on the responsibility of those children.
And that's absolutely the right answer.
It is the right answer because it's not just the responsibility of the children.
Mm-hmm.
It's the responsibility of the woman who is going to expect you to pay all the bills while not parenting that child.
And then, telling you you're not his father.
Yeah, and then you have to deal with baby daddy drama on top of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
That no one's going to sign up for that intelligently.
I mean, I dated a woman that was a widow, so I didn't have to worry about.
Yeah, widows, very different thing.
Yeah, they didn't ask for that shit.
No. Not just that, biology also plays a part. Okay. Mothers, through their actions, tend to teach their sons to aspire for unconditional love from a partner, but it is hard to get that if a partner already has a child. Fathers, on the other hand, tend to, through their actions, teach their daughters to aspire for a partner who takes on responsibility. A man with a child tends to prove he is such a man. I can agree with that. Yeah, biology screws single mothers in love, but gives single fathers a boost. It's almost as if we're not the same.
Oh, no. We're going to get a strike.
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
It's almost as if there's only two genders and they're not equal.
Yeah.
Which is why we used to get together and accomplish more shit.
Correct. Symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. To make matters worse, the single mother romantic disadvantage doesn't stop there. I spoke to a friend of mine who works in child psychology, and he told me that in his experience, children tend to find it much easier to countenance a father entering a romantic relationship than a mother, simply because we tend to want our mothers all to ourselves.
Eh.
I get that. I've seen it.
Yeah.
My ex-horse chick tried to sabotage her own mother's wedding when she finally got a dude stupid enough to write a check against it.
Oh, my God.
13 years old, got drunk off her ass and made a scene. And she told me this, expecting me to feel sorry for her, but I'm sitting there like...
You're kind of a female breeding dog.
It's kind of fucked up, actually.
Yeah.
You couldn't just be happy for her that she finally beat the odds and got somebody who was stupid, nice enough to write a check against it?
Yeah. No, we're not playing that game.
Yeah. Yep, children's need for nurture from their mother and want of unconditional love and being the center of their mother's attention can give mothers a real problem when looking for a new partner. Honestly, I think that is less the problem than single mothers actively going on dating apps. Some of them while they're still pregnant.
I've seen that.
Swearing on a stack of Bibles, I don't need a man. Which means that you really got to step up and make it worth my time. So now that the loser that you physically desired hit it and quit it and, left a deposit right in the bank that, is going to draw on my bank account for 18 years if I'm stupid enough to do. No.
They want you to pay the mortgage for 18 to 21 years depending upon the state you're in. No, thank you.
The next guy, he's got to prove himself. Yeah, not the guy who knocked you up. Who you would get back together with in an instant, even if he just sent you a text message at 1:35 a.m. I'm horny. 7-Eleven parking lot, 10 minutes. He's asleep. I'll be there. You know what happens.
Yeah.
You know what happens.
Yeah, somebody's getting spaghetti flute.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Men know this. Mm-hmm. Men know that if baby daddy calls anytime, day or night, and says, I made a mistake, I want you back, even if he's tied one on with her and put a ring on it, over.
Or they show up and threaten you.
That too.
Well, listen, I've had many soldiers.
The cop boyfriend. We did a whole thing on the cop boyfriend and administrative violence.
Yeah. But I've had some soldiers, got divorced. And the mother basically went with this other dude or whatever. The dude goes over there and tells this dude living in the house, he goes, listen, if my kids ever mention your name and there's a hint of fear in their voice, you won't be found.
Well, that I understand.
I'm serious. And I remember, I had Georgia State Police in there, in the office, and they want to talk to this guy because he made a threat. And I'm like, and the company commander was all like, you need to talk to the cops. I'm like, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't need to talk to you. In fact, the only way he will talk to you is if we have a lawyer present.
Jail.
There's no lawyer here. We're not doing it. So it was turned into a big he said, she said, wham.
Isn't that how most of those situations eventually turn up?
But that's exactly what he said. He said, you will not be found.
You will not be found. All you have to do is take a look at some of the top earners in the BBW section on OnlyFans to know that men have not been this thirsty since Jesus wandered back from 40 days in the desert. Okay? All right? These women have no problems lining up potential father figures for their kids. None at all. But they're not getting the men that they want. Therefore, it's so hard.
Well, they actually use the word financially attractive.
Financially attractive, yes. Yeah. Fiscally responsible.
No.
Gold digger.
The average income for a dude is $50K.
Yeah. And these women think that you should be spending twice that on an engagement ring.
It's not going to happen.
No. I'd rather dunk my balls in battery acid. And this really matters when it comes to raising children because children do much better if they have both a mother and a father figure in their life.
Duh!
Amen. Positive ones at that. Double amen. So because single fathers on average find it easier to bring positive female influences into their lives of their children on every level, also because we're pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a child in the house, we're going to vet these women within an inch of their life, but with realistic standards.
Yes.
And we're going to make our requirements clear, which is not toxic masculinity. Women do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We're allowed to have standards too. Don't like it? Don't date.
Wah. Don't care.
Yep. Inevitably, their children gain on average an advantage over the children of single mothers who struggle to replace the loss of the father. And the advantages that single fathers have over single mothers don't stop there. Women are more prone to mental health problems than men. This matters.
Oh, yes, it does.
And we're going to leave it right there.
There are so many crazy bitches out there.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.